Thank you for watching The Citizens Report with William Donahue. On this show, we search for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the world around us through the lens of an American citizen.
Thank you for watching The Citizens Report. My name is William Donahue. I have a big stack of news to go through today, so I'm going to try and hit it fast. The first article I have here is in my Israel section. It says, Air Force members Aaron Bushnell dies after setting himself on fire near Israel Embassy. This is a USA Today article. It says, the active duty U.S. Air Force member who set himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy has died of his injuries. The Metropolitan Police Department confirmed on Monday. Aaron Bushnell, 25, of Whitman, Massachusetts, lit himself on fire in front of the embassy on Sunday afternoon. Then later in the article it says, officials believe Bushnell started the stream, set his phone on the ground, poured liquid over himself, and lit himself on fire, which is exactly what happened. So this is an active duty Air Force member who knows what he knew, felt strongly enough about it to light himself on fire. He's walking up to you. If you watch the video, he's walking up to do it, and he's saying, "I'm not gonna participate in genocide anymore." Puts the camera down, dumps the thing on his head. There's a video of it, so it frames it. It says officials believe Bushnell started the stream, set his phone on the ground, poured the liquid over himself, and lit himself on fire. That's exactly what happened. I'm not sure exactly what he believes about the whole Gaza-Israel conflict, but if he believes that the overreaction that's taking place is a big problem and that there shouldn't be civilians involved, then I support what he did in that regard. He did yell "Free Palestine," which I'm not sure if people are trying to use the whole movement to achieve other things. And I don't know how associated Free Palestine is with what movements or whatever. But as far as what's going on in the Gaza Strip, I do think it's a genocide. And for this guy to feel that strongly about it, that's why I put this article first. So then I have Israel vows to target Lebanon's Hezbollah even if ceasefire reached with Hamas in Gaza. This was published on the 25th, and then on the 26th, Israel strikes deeper into Lebanon after Hezbollah drowns drone. So they hit a drone, and it says Israel warplanes struck Lebanon's Baca Valley on Monday, killing at least two Hezbollah members in its deepest attack into Lebanese territory since hostilities erupted with the Iran-backed group last October. Underlying risk of escalation, Hezbollah responded by firing 60 rockets at Israeli army headquarters. So now Lebanon is facing deeper attacks. And what did that say? It said this attack marked the intensification of the war's violence between the heavily armed Hezbollah and Israel since the 2006 war. So, feeling concerns of potential for further escalation in the region's spillover of the Gaza war. Obviously. There's major concerns of a spillover. The Houthi rebels in the Red Sea, what's going on there? No one's talking about it. The fact that Yemen, a small country, is getting involved. Syria, that thing that happened with Jordan and that drone strike that killed 3 Americans, that was very vaguely covered and didn't make a whole lot of sense, and there were some stories that contradicted each other. So definitely everyone in that area, that's like the new Balkan powder keg from World War One. The next section I have here is I just wrote bank. So basically, the Fed to allow emergency bank lending program to expire on March 11th. So I've heard certain things about this. Uh, this says the Federal Reserve on Wednesday said a funding lifeline created for banks after last year's collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank threatened to spark a wider financial crisis would close as scheduled on in March. Bank term funding program for anyone who's interested. It's going to end on March 11th. And then this next article says that the Federal Reserve announces the bank term funding project will cease making new loans as scheduled on March 11th. Basically, what I heard about this is that the banks were given a period of time where they didn't have to uh, keep any fraction of the loan. They, like, you would think if someone loaned you the money, they would have the money to back up the people who are putting their money in the bank. We take our money to the bank, put it in there. The banks turn around and loan it to somebody. But then what if you want your money? They have to have something to give you, obviously. But I think they were, or what I've heard is that they were given a grace period where they didn't have to cover any loans, and now that's being lifted. And this whole thing, they're saying here that it started with Silicon Valley, but I've heard that it goes as far back as like 2009 after the recession. Then the Federal Reserve is raising interest rates, and it's all creating this bubble where the whole economy is artificially propped up. And once that bubble pops, we don't know exactly if they can control the collapse or what's going to happen, but it's ready to pop. And these couple stories here prove what I'm saying about the banks, I think. So Jeff Bezos, Jamie Dimon, and Mark Zuckerberg have sold about stocks worth about $9 billion. Jeff Bezos, Jamie Dimon, Mark Zuckerberg have all been selling shares of their companies. Bezos offloading 50 million shares, 8.5 billion. Zuckerberg cashed in almost 1.8 million shares, 400 million. JP Morgan, Diamond joined the club this month. 822,000 shares, 150 million. Zuckerberg hadn't sold Meta shares for at least 2 years prior to his latest transactions. So basically, billionaires are selling out their shares. We see that the stock market is going up. Biden, the whole administration, could brag about their economic recovery, that the stock market is going up, and that's what they usually go to. They don't talk about indicators like the price of groceries or gasoline or things that affect us. They talk about when they say the economy is recovering. One reporter will say, "Hey, the people are concerned about the prices of groceries going up. Do you have anything to say about that?" And they turn around and they say, "The economy is doing great if you look at Wall Street, blah, blah, blah." But Wall Street is doing good because all the billionaires are selling out their stocks, in my opinion. And then this article, this says, Life of Doomsday Preppers Life of billionaire doomsday preppers. Stash of guns, gold, and $200 million secret bunker. Uh, it goes through to say that these are all people who have bunkers. Mark Zuckerberg, Sam Altman, Elon Musk. There's more in here. Basically, it's saying that they're stashing guns, gold, food. These things are worth $500,000 minimum. $500,000 minimum. Some of them have swimming rooms, swimming pools, game rooms, and a gym. Let's read about Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg is thought to have splashed out as much as $270 million in his nuclear bunker. Sam Altman, the OpenAI founder, believed the world could end at the hands of artificial intelligence. He also reckons nuclear war or a lethal synthetic virus. Altman has a stash of guns, gold, and gas masks to keep himself safe. This is a quote from the New Yorker that they have in their article. It says, "I try not to think about it too much, but I have guns, gold, potassium iodide, antibiotics, batteries, water, gas masks from the Israeli Defense Force, and a big patch of land in Big Sur I can fly to." All these are on Hawaii, New Zealand. I've heard about bunkers. So basically, they're buying all the things they tell us that we can't have. They tell us not to invest in gold. They tell us not to invest in preparedness. There's nothing to worry about. To invest in the stock market, they tell us we can't have guns. What else did they say? Guns. We shouldn't be worried about lethal synthetic virus, nuclear war, any of this stuff. Here's the funny thing, is that everything that they're buying, they tell us not to have. And in a way, they're selling out of the stock market. They're buying gold. They're getting prepared for something that's coming. They're buying guns, gold, potassium iodide, antibiotics, batteries, water, gas masks, and land. So I think that in a way they're almost promoting what you should do. You should follow after what they're doing, because for them to sell out of their companies and be positioning themselves like this at the same time as this big bank move is happening is almost like the analogy I used earlier when I was talking to my wife. It's almost like if somebody was going to punch you, right? And you put your hands up, you flinch, you cover up, right? That's a defensive move. Right now, what they're doing is they're covering up, and then as soon as that punch goes by, they could deliver. They'll have gold, they'll have guns, they'll be safe, they'll be healthy, they'll have water, they won't face nuclear attack. So, preparedness is very important, and they know it as well as all of us. The next section I have, arrests made in Cancun. This is illegal immigrants again. Arrest made in Cancun after 5 dismembered bodies found in taxi. 3 other victims dumped in shallow grave. So, 8 people killed. Prosecutors said Monday they've arrested 6 members of a drug gang in the Mexican resort of Cancun that allegedly killed and hacked up 5 people with a machete and dumped 3 other victims in a shallow grave. This is Mexico. This is how Mexican drug gangs operate. They operate in scare tactics, and they like to send messages. And they don't care about the law, because the Mexican government is in its own ways, corrupt, and now with the corruption in the United States, we're going to see they're doing that here. I don't think that this was a scare tactic, and I want to take down my mood a little bit out of respect for this lady. It says suspect in Georgia nursing student's murder is accused of disfiguring her skull, court documents say. So this guy, Jose Ibarra, who faces multiple murder and assault charges, is also accused of dragging 22-year-old Laken Riley to a secluded area Thursday, according to one of the affidavits obtained by CBS News. Authorities haven't said exactly how she was killed, only that her death was caused by blunt force trauma. So, Ibarra is 26, is a Venezuelan citizen who immigration authorities say unlawfully crossed into the United States in 2022. It's 2024, so he's been here for 2 years, and then the article ends off with this thing that's supposed to sound nice, but me being who I am, I'm thinking about it the way that it's I'm reading between the lines on this. The White House expressed condolences to Riley's family and referred questions about the case to ICE and local law enforcement. So instead of Joe Biden calling the family, because they would probably brag about that, hey, he called the family, what a nice guy. It says the White House expressed condolences, and then they basically gave all the responsibility to ICE and aren't going to answer any questions, which they're not going to answer any questions. According to ICE, Ibarra was arrested by New York police on August 31st and charged with acting in a manner to injure a child less than 17 and with motor vehicle license violations. Ibarra was released before ICE could ask New York officials. Once again, where is that guy? This guy. Oh no, the guy in Arizona, who Arizona wouldn't release the guy because he killed 2 people and they said New York would let him go. Right here. Ibarra was released before ICE could ask New York officials to hold him until immigration authorities could take him into custody, ICE said. New York state officials said Sunday they had no record of the arrest. So, that's funny. Then the guy gets out of jail and beats a woman and crushes her skull. So, that's how New York operates, and that's clearly why Arizona didn't give him back. Good job, Arizona. AP reports on Laken Riley murder omits suspect's immigration status, focus on women joggers, the danger of women jogging home alone. This article is from Fox News, and it's about that woman whose skull got crushed. So basically, instead of the AP focusing on, hey, we need to raise awareness that immigration has become a problem. Clearly, there's been a spike in crime related to illegal immigrant males between the age of 20 and 30. And this needs to be focused on. Instead, they put the microscope on the dangers of women jogging home alone, and they don't even mention that the guy is a criminal in the past, has beat up a little kid, came to the United States illegally, and they just want to talk about the dangers of women jogging. So the AP is, in my opinion, an accomplice now. This is my next article. It says, I came to vacation. Venezuelan illegal brags about using child to leech off taxpayers and avoid work. I watched the video of this. This guy is a famous TikToker. His name is Lionel Moreno. Also calls for TikTok viewers to financially support Times Square migrant shooter. An entitled Venezuelan, this is his words, not mine. An entitled Venezuelan illegal alien posted video on TikTok on TikTok bragging about how he exploits America's welfare system while avoiding work. So the guy is sitting there. I watched the video. He says, for all of you who came to America to work and pay taxes, basically, you're stupid. This is my golden ticket right here. And he's got his baby. He's kissing her on the forehead. He's like, you're the breadwinner, aren't you, honey? And he's very cocky. So I do get what this author, Jamie White, is saying. Very cocky, very entitled, and it's your money. When you look at your pay stub at the end of the week and they took $300 out or whatever, that's who it goes to. People like that. Next section is Ukraine. This is a big revelation that came out. Now everyone is willing to admit this now that the New York Times said it. But this article is by Zero Hedge, and the headline is, CIA built 12 secret spy bases in Ukraine and waged shadow war for last decade. Bombshell New York Times report confirms. So I highlighted a couple things in here. Among the biggest revelations is the program was established a decade ago, spans 3 different American presidents, a network of 12 secret bases along the Russian border, used to launch and track cross-border drone missile attacks on Russian territory. So I'm going to skip Zero Hedge's analysis. They have some quotes from the article. It says, surprisingly descriptive, it says, not far away, a discreet passageway descends to a subterranean bunker where teams of Ukrainian soldiers track Russian spy satellites and eavesdrop on conversations between Russian commanders. The underground bunker, built to replace and destroy the destroyed command center in the months after Russia's invasion, probably Russia's invasion of Crimea back in 2014. There's also one more secret. The base is almost fully financed and partially equipped by the CIA. This is Zero Hedge's description. Within 2 years after 2014, the 2014 Westback coup in Ukraine, the CIA had set up a training program for elite Ukrainian operatives. Around 2016, the CIA began training an elite Ukrainian commando force known as Unit 2245. It says, which captured Russian drones and communications gear so the CIA technicians could reverse engineer and crack Moscow's encryption systems. So this is a CIA-run coup that Biden bragged about. Biden, Obama, they all were getting money through Ukraine, through Ukraine, and basically there was a pro-Russian leader and a pro-Ukrainian leader. The CIA funded regime change to overthrow the Ukrainian leader. They set up a network of 12 secret spy bases, and the CIA, all this done by the CIA 10 years before we ever supposedly got involved. And all we did in 2021 or whatever, 2022, was get involved financially, provided weapons, provided tanks, provided things of that nature. But the CIA was already working over there. So they paint the image to you like, oh no, this just happened. We need to fund Ukraine, when they've already secretly been fighting the war for 10 years. Or, yeah, 10 years. The next article, NATO chief declares Ukraine will join NATO. Head of NATO saying that Ukraine will join NATO, which doesn't make sense because NATO is a defensive alliance. So to bring in a member that's already at war would just make them go to war. That'd be like an offensive alliance, in my opinion, which we're paying for a defensive alliance that's about to drag us into a war. Same thing with Macron. Macron, nothing ruled out, including Western troops to stop Russia winning Ukraine war. So, French President Emmanuel Macron has openly discussed the possibility of sending European troops. While that's going on, the EU is trying to drag us into war. They've paid the least amount out of all the NATO countries. It's all been funded by the U.S. And this is CNN. As U.S. Congress stalls on aid, Ukrainian soldiers head to the front lines, knowing they don't have enough ammunition. There was an interview with Zelensky. He said that they are having to ration ammunition. So Ukraine is done for. Ukraine is done for. The only way that this war continues, like they've said this is going to be a 20-year war. The only way that this war continues is with European lives and American lives, because Ukraine doesn't have any more young males to fight. This here is another aspect of this Ukraine thing. Biden announces more than 500 sanctions on Russia after Navalny death. This guy was a reporter that apparently it says her Chief Budanov says seems Navalny died of detached blood clot. So this is the head of the Ukrainian military intelligence saying that this guy died of a blood clot, but Joe Biden placed 500 sanctions on Russia on false pretenses to intensify this thing. So basically, we're putting a bet on a horse with a broken leg right now. I don't know who's going to get out there and replace the horse, but I don't want it to be me. Next article or section I have is Bill Gates. This is just titled Bill Gates. Bill Gates praises India's sweeping digital ID system as model for other nations. So Bill Gates is happy that India is using a digital ID system. He says it's the model for other countries, and he's done a lot of TED Talks where he talks about giving vaccines that you could see through the skin. He likes digital IDs. He is okay with medical experimentation. So here he's talking about how proud he is of India, but this is the final report of the committee appointed by the government of India. And part of the government back in the day basically said that uh, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, according to this report, they tested on people who were already not of good health. They didn't give consent and they didn't record the data, and many people died. That's what this report says. So, that being said, what he did in India, he wants India on a digital ID. He wants to experiment on them medically. And then here's the result of another project that Bill Gates was involved in funding. The challenge is not to disassociate but to bear witness, since every person alive now is either a victim of the shots or a witness. That's the title of this article. And it says Kayla Polak was one of millions coerced and deceived into getting the deadly COVID-19 shot when they were mandated. Basically, this lady, whether you think that there was coercion or whatever, this lady got the COVID vaccine. She was fine. She's a mother. She was very healthy. She took the vaccine, became paralyzed, and now Health Canada is telling her that they can offer her a solution to her problems, and that's called medical assistance in dying. That is basically the doctor puts you in a little chamber and kills you. So if you get vaccine injured, then you should probably just die, is what Canada's theory on it is. They don't want to address it. They don't want to offer you any kind of solution. They don't want to figure out what the problem is or whether anything's going on. They want to offer you MAID, MAID, medical assistance in dying. But if you take the N out, it's MAD, medical assisted dying. MAD. That's crazy. That's a crazy thing to do to people. Tell them that. Isn't the doctor's like code do no harm? Crazy. Then this last section, I labeled it Donald Trump. It's basically what's going on with the Republican Party. And Donald Trump right now is the Republican Party, so I guess that's a fitting title for the category. Donald Trump appeals $454 million judgment in New York civil fraud case. So last week we talked about some of his fraud cases. He's appealing. I wonder. This one by MSNBC. Donald Trump easily takes South Carolina in commanding win. He won South Carolina the other day. And because of that win, the influential Koch network stopped spending for Nikki Haley to focus on Senate and House races. So they're not funding Trump, but they're also not funding her. Another dead horse. I like that analogy today. RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel announces her resignation, but she's not going to resign till after the primaries, which is the whole problem, is that she's deciding who gets to be involved in the primaries and who gets who gets to be the front runner for the party, who gets funding, who gets media attention. She the problem is that Trump keeps winning, and Ronna McDaniel refuses to fund him, refuses to stop funding her, even though everyone who pays money to the RNC and donates probably wants Trump. Ronna McDaniel is not going to quit until after the primary, and basically just fly in the face of everyone who donates. Letitia James says she's prepared to take Trump's buildings if he can't pay $354 million civil fraud fine. I wonder if that's a typo. The first article said 454. This one says 354. So, Associated Press, you might have a typo. Then these are last week's articles. I didn't know if I'd want to bring them up again. This is the last article I have today. Millions, because it's relative. Trump's facing this political persecution, and it's happening all over the world. So, if you see in the video of this article, there was people as far as the eye can see, spread out, shoulder to shoulder, the full width of this one street going this way, the whole width of this other street going that way. Millions of people. Other articles said thousands. There was millions. Definitely at least a million. It says millions of Brazilians took to the streets of São Paulo on Sunday to protest Socialist President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, political persecution of former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro went through similar things as Trump: persecution, false accusations. I think Bolsonaro even did like time in jail. This is Bolsonaro's word at the speech. They continue to accuse me of a coup. Now the coup is because there is a draft of state emergency decree. A coup using the Constitution. Have holy patience. A coup using the Constitution. What is a coup? A coup is putting tanks on the street, weapons, conspiracy. That did not happen in Brazil, he said. What I want is pacification, to erase the past and find out a way for us to live in peace. So Bolsonaro is just trying to peacefully and politically become the leader of Brazil because he thinks his ideas are good and they would benefit the country, and they're accusing him of a coup, which is like a military takeover and a change of regime, and all he did was have the election stolen from him and then try and figure out the results, try and investigate the results, and just like Trump, blocked at every single step of the game. So that's all I have for you today. I hope everyone enjoyed it. We'll be cutting this up into some shorts, so be sure to check those out. Give me a like, comment, share this information, and have a good night.